Forensic Corner. I, Prashant Singh, welcome you all today with the Forensic Corner. As promised, we bring to you scientific knowledge that is so practical but yet very uncommon to see. Please hold my cup. Thank you. So, I have a story to tell you. Recently, I was walking down a lane and there were a lot of people. Now, you must be thinking, why a lot of people? See, I had no problem with a lot of people, but they were looking at me. Was I dressed so well? Or was I dressed too well? That they will eventually rob me. So how can I tell? Some people say it is your gut speaking to you. Well, it's not your gut, but it's the expression of the person speaking to you. So you don't believe me, right? I know. But don't worry, forensic science is all about facts, and we will talk with fact and we will prove to you that how this can be interpreted. We have a person with us that is so expert in reading you that he can tell you whether you're lying or not. Suppose you didn't do your homework. Suppose you had an assignment that your boss asked you to do, but you didn't do it. And what you did? You were lying. And suppose that person was your boss or your teacher. He found out that you were lying. So how did he know that? So well, that person, who is he? He's an assistant professor of psychology and he's a counseling psychologist with an NGO named Catalyst. He is also associated with juvenile courts and the Delhi Police Crime Branch Anti-Trafficking Unit. So that's amazing. You should acknowledge the work he is doing. And apart from that, he has been a visiting faculty for various institutions, and apart from that, he has been on various TV appearances. He has been on various TV news channels like Prime News Channel, APN News Channel, and apart from that, he has been on FM Gold Radio. And apart from that, he is presently doing a lot of workshop to aware people. You know on what? Body language analysis. So this is a type of analysis where the expert reads your body expressions and tells what you are thinking, what you are saying, and what you are not willing to say. So today with Dr. Gaurav Gill, we are going to find out body language analysis and its interpretation of criminal behavior.
So I can translate everything and anything from what I see on the screen and from what I see in the person. What are you doing with your eyes? What are you doing with your neck? And that helps me in understanding, because since I work with patients of mental disorders, I also work with juvenile court, wherein we have victims of POCSO, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, kidnapping cases, missing cases. So I need to look into their body language, because there are a lot of times, because of trauma or abuse, they're not able to talk. So I need to look into that. What is it that they're not talking about? So that, and also we have an association, the NGO that I work with, we have an association with Crime Branch. So of late I've been going to their unit also and helping them with investigations. So talking to the accused and the victim and trying to see if the right statement is given or not. Along with the body language, we also do statement analysis. So, for instance, as I see right now, increased blink rate, or so if you're in a room and you see that with you going there and the person's blink rate has increased, it means either you're causing stress to them or either they've lost interest in what you're saying. If the blink rate reduces, which means the other person has started taking interest in you, and the neck is tilting. When I take a lecture and I see my students' neck tilting like this, I know they're taking interest. That's how you talk to a child, right? When you have an infant, you talk to a child like this. You don't talk to a child like this. If the neck is tilting, which means the interest has begun. So yeah, body language helps me loads, even in understanding anybody on the street also. There are a lot of tools that can be used. So the first thing is, you have to keep your eyes, ears open. That's the first thing. As soon as you enter, I don't know if we are taught, but there are 20 ways in which a person walks. So, which is called gait. Gait. There are 20 styles of walking. So, for instance, if a person comes, running quickly, or if the person is walking very slowly, or if the person has that bouncy jump, or is coming strolling into the room, so that helps me identify the mood of the person. So there are 20 styles of walking. Also, when I look at the person and when I talk to them, I listen to what they are saying, and it is important that how they are saying. That is important. Yeah. And the other thing is statement analysis. When we talk of statement analysis, you have to look into the verbs, the tenses. So, for instance, it says the longer the explanation, the bigger the lie. So, if I ask you a question and I ask you that were you involved in this, and instead of giving me a direct answer, you tell me those are two other people who were doing this, I had no role to play, and you give me a long explanation. Generally, the problem with the liars is they can't say direct no, because the brain, especially limbic brain, and limbic maybe amygdala, gives them a lot of problem. This is Joe Navarro. He is a former FBI counterintelligence special agent, and he's the guy who has been pioneering in body language. So he says if somebody's thumb comes out, that's a sign of confidence. But if it gets hidden like this, then in that case, it's a sign of low confidence. So when you watch people, you get to know somebody standing like that with the thumbs in the pocket is a low confidence. And so the inspector on the right, he had his thumbs in the pocket. Something like this. Have you seen cops standing like that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Or probably your parents standing like that when they're angry?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is a high power display, and it is an authoritative stance. So if there are 2 or 3 people standing and you don't know which officer is of higher rank, watch the space between their feet. The person who takes the maximum space between the feet is the highest ranking officer. This is called territorial stance. So if somebody is standing like this, it means he or she is showing authority. Now, the same stance when done it the other way around, where the thumbs are in front. This is a sign of curiosity when the person wants to ask you a question. So you don't have to wait for a forensic setting. Even when you're studying in college, you can be able to observe these signs, be it in your peers, be in the faculties, or be it in the people in your family or around. Let's start with the first case. This is a case from this year, and I think this is from May 2020. So this lady that you see over here is Suzanne Morphew, and this is her husband. So she went for a bike hiking. So she went on mountains, she went for the trekking thing, and she disappeared from there. This year itself, she disappeared. She was nowhere to be seen. A day after, her husband goes ahead and gives a statement. Now you have to read the statement and tell me, what do you think is the problem with it? I mean, was really upset that first night, and I was in Denver, so I didn't get here until 9 o'clock that night. And my friend's an army ranger, and he knows this stuff better than anybody. He did 400 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. So what could I say? Very muffled. What do you think is a problem over here? So now you have to imagine, whenever we're talking to a suspect, or whenever you're talking to a person, you have to think about their emotional state. So his wife is missing, and him being upset is a very obvious emotion. You don't have to tell. So he says, I mean, was really upset. Really is used for emphasizing. He's trying to emphasize that I'm actually upset. Please trust me, I'm upset. Upset that first night, and very correctly, Prashant mentioned that there are grammatical errors, and he's also using fillers, using words like Why? Because he cannot find words. Here we're looking at an English-speaking guy who's having problems in formulating sentences. So using a lot of fillers, grammatical errors, and distraction technique. And my friend's an army ranger. This was not needed. So he's hardly talking, you see, hardly 1 or 2 lines about wife and more about his friends. My friend's an army ranger and he knows this stuff better. No clarification about this stuff. Whenever you're looking at it from statement analysis perspective, you have to question this, that, whatever which seems to be ambiguous. This statement continues. This is a deviation tactic. Okay, read this one. Well, it was Mother's Day, so we had 2 daughters that were coming home for a trip, and I had that job in Denver, and I wanted to get started on Sunday, set up my workers. They come in Sunday night, muffled, which means not clearly. Being the owner, I wanted to get everything set up, muffled. So I told my wife, I said, listen, the girls are gonna be home and they want to spend Mother's Day with you. Mind if I go? Number 1, again, the fillers. And the most important and the incriminating thing in this sentence given or the statement given was, we had 2 daughters. You have to remember that this is a statement given a day after her being missing. So we don't know if she's dead. We don't know where she went, but he's already talking about her in the past tense. That is where he got caught. If I know she's alive, I'm going to say we have 2 daughters. He's saying we had 2 daughters. And there was a similar case in America where a person was implicated because he started talking about his wife who was missing and he started talking about her in the past tense. That is how statement analysis work. If somebody is alive and you start talking about that person in the past tense, which means you know what happened to that person. Another red flag. So somebody who's guilty would not try to use I because it talks about taking blame. But using too much of I is a red flag. You're trying to show that I cannot be blamed. Too much of I's. He's using too much of I. Then I had a job. I wanted to get everything set up. So I told my wife, I said, listen, and if I go. And you can, if you want to write the name of the person, you can write. This is a case of Barry Morphew and Suzanne Morphew. So let's talk about polygraph. Okay. So polygraph, they say it is a lie detection machine, but it is not a lie detection machine. It is a stress detection machine. If your stress will go up from the baseline, blood pressure goes up, galvanic skin response goes up, the skin conductance temperature goes up, it will pick that up. It doesn't know what is lie. It doesn't know what it is. It will pick up more on your blood pressure. Similarly, it becomes difficult for the polygraph machine to detect whether it is stress or whether it is deception, right? And the authorities go on the basis of it. Now over here, this is a red flag, too much of I, but this is not the final nail in the coffin. This should be taken into consideration to see if the person is just getting stressed or if the person is being actually deceptive. But it is a red flag so that you might just go ahead and question this person more. You need to take culture into account. So this is an English speaking guy. What about the person who's from Asia? It will be a different context. And what if we have an interpreter in between who would translate it into something else? So you might want to write another name. There is this lady called Lena Cisco. Lena Cisco. Lena Cisco. She is an interrogator with American force, and she interrogated people who blew 9/11 Twin Towers. So she interrogated the Al Qaeda people. So she was responsible, and she's the one who says that, when I was trying to talk to the Arabic people and I wanted to analyze their statements, so I had to tell the interpreters, just tell me exactly the words that they're saying. So, it becomes all the more difficult. Of course, the culture needs to be taken into account. The stress needs to be taken into account, and the context needs to be taken into account. Okay. So I already spoken about we had 2 daughters. He's already talking about past.
So I hope you understood about body language analysis, because I did. And I just want to say this to you, that we will never stop learning and you should also never stop learning. because there is no age for learning. And body language analysis, it's a whole lot, we just showed you the tip of an iceberg. And if you liked our video, do subscribe it and stay updated to our upcoming videos.